Hey everyone, thank you for joining me for my top 27 MCU movies of all time. With this list, I'm going to be ranking it from my least favorite to my favorite MCU movie. All the MCU movies I really enjoy and like, but some of them I don't rewatch as much. So rewatchability is a big thing when it comes to my list here. This is a lot of movies, so from 27 to 11, I'm going to give like a little bit of what I like and didn't like about them, and then my top 10, I'm going to go really in depth. So no further ado, let's go. Number 27, The Incredible Hulk. I love Edward Norton as Bruce Banner Hulk. I thought he brought a gravitas to the character that unfortunately Mark Ruffalo doesn't, and he looks more comic accurate, and the action sequences in this movie were good, but everything else was kind of just mid. Number 26, Thor. I really like this movie. I like the fish out of water story with Thor being on Earth, but also combining it with a story of a god trying to redeem himself because he thought he was the best thing since sliced bread. And the action sequences were good. We got Loki, and that chemistry was great. Good movie. Number 25 is Thor: The Dark World. I like this movie a lot when I saw it in theaters. The villain is weak, but we did get a lot of good chemistry moments between Thor and Loki, and also the death of his mother and how that affected both of them was really great in this movie. And some of the sci-fi aspects I really liked, but the villain was very, very, very weak and brought the movie down. Number 24, Iron Man 2. A very fun movie, but it was kind of copying the first movie, which is a masterpiece, but it faltered. It didn't do as well. We did get Don Cheadle as War Machine, which I really, really like. He's great in the role as that character, and we got one of the best suit-ups of Tony Stark turning into Iron Man ever. Maybe the best one because how dope it looked. But the villain was just okay. The story was just okay. Coming at number 23, a movie that disappointed me a bit because the first one was so good, Ant-Man and the Wasp. I think this movie is a very good family-friendly movie. It's very fun, very funny, but there's no gravitas to it. It feels like almost no weight to anything that's going on. I did like the enemy being like not really a villain trying to just live for themselves, but other than that, some of the action scenes was okay, but the story overall was weak. Number 22, and it hurts me to say this, but Black Widow, a movie that I can watch anytime. It's very watchable, and they gave us Yelena Belova, which is probably my new favorite MCU character, but the movie overall just felt like a weaker copy of Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and down to the silent protagonist that's connected to the protagonist's past, but just not executed well. And this is one time where I didn't like the comic change to a character. I think the Taskmaster in the comics is way superior. I don't even care about the gender change. I think that they should have kept the feeling of the character. Number 21, if you see my top 9 Spider-Man movies of all time, you know that Spider-Man Far From Home is at the bottom of the list for me. I just didn't like that the Iron Boy aesthetic that they had for the character, that Peter was cleaning up another Tony Stark mess, and they tying it all into him, making it feel like it's Tony Stark's villain and that Peter's cleaning up when Mysterio is a Spider-Man villain, and some of the dumb decisions that Peter just made throughout the movie. The movie is gorgeous. There's some spectacular action sequences and heartfelt moments, but overall as a Spider-Man flick, it felt weak. Number 20, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. This suffers from the same thing as Iron Man 2 to me, where they James Gunn try to recreate what he did with Guardians 1, but Guardians 1 is just superior to me. There's not many memorable moments other than the Mary Poppins moment, which I really like. I even bought a t-shirt with it that looks just like the moment, and also that character sacrifices himself for Peter Quill. I thought those were heartfelt. Some of the action sequences were dope, but overall, it was just a very popcorn, turn your mind off movie, not much else. Coming at number 19 is Captain America: The First Avenger. I understand why a lot of people don't like this movie. It's very slow in the beginning, building up to the climax, and a lot of the characters and the colors are muted and everything like that. But I really enjoy this. It set the groundwork for the Steve Rogers that we have now, or we did have, and he's my favorite character in the MCU. So going back and watching this, you see why he makes all of the decisions he made throughout the MCU. Number 18 is Iron Man 3. I really enjoyed this movie a lot. I think it's to me the second best Iron Man movie, and I love the action, the cape shit that happens in this movie, and the PTSD that Tony's going through. But obviously the big elephant in the room is the Mandarin twist, which was terrible. Even though in retrospect now, because of Shang-Chi, it's better that they did it because Tony Jung in Shang-Chi is so amazing. But overall, I really enjoyed this movie other than that terrible twist. Number 17 is a movie I enjoy a lot, but when I turn it off and think about it, it becomes less and less enjoyable. And that's Thor Ragnarok. Very hilarious, very funny, great action, very colorful, looks beautiful, but it's just too jokey. And they don't take the Ragnarok part of it serious. When I hear that word, I think apocalyptic, I think something epic, and I didn't think this movie was epic enough. Hopefully Love and Thunder is better. Number 16 is Captain Marvel. I enjoy this movie a lot. I like what they try to do with the character, the structure of the story. There were certain visuals that happened in this movie that I haven't seen in the MCU at all. And I like what Brie Larson was trying to do with this character. That's trying to hold back her emotions throughout the movie, and that's why she wasn't as charismatic as other MCU protagonists. The only problem I have with this movie is the last couple minutes. I think that because she was holding back so much, that she should have like just went nuts emotionally and power wise and fought Ronan and then knocked out the guy at the end. I think that it would have uplifted the movie in a lot of people's eyes who just don't hate Brie Larson. Number 15 is Ant-Man. What a fun movie. I love this movie so much. I can turn it on. The family friendly vibe. Paul Rudd as Scott Lang is perfect. The visuals are so unique because of his powers, and it's just a really fun movie. I think that this movie suffers from having kind of a weak villain as well. Yellow Jacket looks cool, but he wasn't really that entertaining just outside of the suit. But yeah, overall I really like this movie a lot. Number 14 is Doctor Strange, another movie I really love a lot, and I can watch certain segments of it multiple times because Benedict Cumberbatch is the perfect Doctor Strange. He captures the vibe of the comic book character perfectly. The visuals are trippy. The ancient one, even though the casting of Tilda Swinton was controversial, I think she did a great job. And just the main villain throughout the movie was just really weak, and they had a really great actor, so that's what brought the movie down. But I like the ending because he uses smarts and the magic to really show why he's the Sorcerer Supreme. Coming at number 13 is Avengers Age of Ultron. To me, one of the most important movies in the MCU because it introduced the Scarlet Witch, it introduced Vision, it introduced the rivalry between Cap and Tony, and how they're already had the seedings for Civil War and whatever happens next. And it was just a fun action movie. It had consequences in it with people dying left and right, and also because of this action it caused Civil War as well. I think it's a bit of a mess because they're trying to set up so much instead of focusing on the main story, but I still enjoy this movie a lot. Coming at number 12, it's Guardians Galaxy Volume 1. I think this movie is a classic. I love it so much. It's fun, it's funny, colorful, great characters. James Gunn focuses more on the characterization of his characters than their power set, which is great, but also detrimental a little bit at the same time because certain characters like Drax, who I think is a badass in the comics, is just a clown in this. But overall, it's an amazing movie. I think that I used to hate the dance-off moment, but now I like it a lot more. Coming at number 11 is Shang-Chi and the Legend of Ten Rings. What a fantastic movie. I think Simu Lee and Awkwafina together are a great protagonist, maybe not separate, but together are great. Tony Jung was one of the best MCU villains. The action was fantastic. Music was dope. Cinematography was very colorful and really highlighted everything. My only problem is I think they jumped the shark a little bit with the fantastical elements towards the end. I think it should have focused more on the martial arts. Here we go. We're going to start the top 10 MCU movies on my list where I go a little bit deeper. So let's start the list. Eternals. I really enjoy this movie so much. I know it's a really divisive movie, but when I watched it in the theaters, I went through such an emotional ride with this, where I was trying to figure out what is going on, what is this story about. It's not the typical origin movie where they show you their beginnings and we move on from there and they go through, you know, certain trials and tribulations figuring out their powers. They already went through their origin, they have their powers, they have their mission. There is so much world building with them being embedded within the MCU's world, showing us who created the world. And I love the visuals, I love the pacing of the movie, I like the characters. The action, especially in that third act, was amazing. But the two twists that really caught me was the whole fact that they were basically robots and copies of themselves, and their minds getting resetted. That literally made me gasp. And the fact that there was a celestial inside of Earth that they were working on building up to destroy us, to build more planets. It just came up with a very big conundrum of like, do we sacrifice billions to make multiple planets that's going to have billions on it? Is it okay to sacrifice the many for the greater good? I think that question was great, and it really divided the team. So that part was great. And then Icarus. Throughout the movie, I was like, he's kind of a lame Henry Cavill knockoff. That's how I felt. But then when the twist happened where he betrays the team and he killed, forgetting Salma Hayek's character's name right now, but when he killed her and that was revealed, I had a visceral reaction in the movie theater, because up to this point, the way they portrayed them was such a family. And that's like a family member just killing the grandma, and it just pissed me off. And I instantly, like, I hated the character, but I liked him at the same time because he became so interesting to me, and the way he sacrificed himself at the end. I think all the characters were great. Some characters should have had more time, and they definitely wasted the deviance, so that's why this movie is not as high as others. But it is, to me, a great sci-fi film. It had one of the best MCU endings I've seen. Coming at number 9 is, I think, my third favorite Spider-Man movie, which is Spider-Man Homecoming. Absolutely love this film. It's so fun, so quirky. Tom Holland gets to have a lot of fun. Michael Keaton as Vulture is amazing. I love what he did. He's involved in one of my favorite scenes in the MCU, and that is when Peter goes pick up Liz for prom, and he opens the door and he sees Michael Keaton's Vulture there, and he's just so confuzzled. And I think it was perfect because as a member of the crowd, and I remember everybody in the theater like, oh my God, does he know Peter's Spider-Man? Is he here? Is he kidnapping him for him to be her father? I think that was a great twist. They really played on my biases, because I was like, what? You know, because you see Liz is black, but Mike Keaton's character is white. So you never would have had that connection. So it was just perfect. Everything from there to the car ride, and then Peter's decision to leave Liz at the prom and do what Spider-Man does, sacrifice to be heroic. Love this movie. Coming at number 8 is Iron Man. Oh man, classic. Love this movie. Perfect origin movie. It set the tone in terms of the intensity, the humor, the elements that you need to have in an MCU movie for it to be successful. And it's just a great standalone origin tale, all in all. Robert Downey Jr. put his foot, his ass, his cheeks all in this role. He made Iron Man go from a D, C-list hero at best in the comics to an A+ player. And I absolutely love this movie, and it's so rewatchable, so fun. Coming at number 7 is a movie that means a lot to me as a black person, as Black Panther. A lot of times, a lot of movies, we don't get blockbusters that's just made about us. And then the movies we do get are about our traumas. This one was celebrating us. And I think they did a great job there, while also lightly touching on topics that are problems in the community as well, like Africans versus African Americans, with Killmonger coming in and saying how, you know, that you kind of just left us. And that conversation does happen in the community. But other than those things, it's just a great MCU movie. Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace to a great man. He did such a great job bringing T'Challa to life, being so regal, honoring the comic book source material, while introducing a great supporting cast that can hold their own. And that what makes me excited for Wakanda Forever, because even though he's gone, I think the supporting cast can step in and hold down the reins. The only thing that holds us down from being higher is because, not one, I think they shouldn't have killed Killmonger, and just because he was such a great character. He could have been a Loki kind of character that was continuous. And 2, that last fight between Killmonger and T'Challa with the PS2, PS3 graphics, I think that they did a bad job at doing that fight. I wish it was better. I wish it was more akin to what they did in the beginning when they were at the waterfall. But other than that, I love this movie. Number 6 is another movie that's a staple that sets the tone not only for MCU but other comic book universes, and that's The Avengers, showing how you bring a group of people together, combine their personalities, combine their worlds, have all a bunch of Easter eggs, make it fun, colorful, and have some weight, have some great action. This is a movie you can just turn on and just sit back and enjoy and smile the whole time. It has sacrifices in it of characters that you really like, and really fun moments for each character. Everybody gets to shine their own way. I don't think we're ever going to have a feeling like that of seeing Avengers for the first time again. Coming at number 5 is a beautiful mess, and that's Spider-Man No Way Home. I love this movie to no end. From when Peter Spider-Sense goes off and the visuals of that, when he's seeing what Norman Osborn is doing on, is the perfect Spider-Man movie. Before that, it's okay. It's a bit of a mess in terms of how we lead up to the stuff that we want. But overall, I think the movie was amazing. It has one of the best MCU endings. It has some of the best MCU Easter eggs and fan service. Bringing back Toby and Andrew's Spider-Mans was amazing, and for them to be full supporting characters, not just saying hi and then leaving, was all great. And Tom Holland shined even with them two being so great. So I love this movie, from the action, the visuals, the sound. It all was done great. It's just how we got there, it was a little messy. Coming at number 4 is Captain America Civil War. Absolutely love this movie from beginning to end. It's the introduction of the Black Panther, introduction of Spider-Man, a classic storyline from the comics being brought to life, but being improved on a bit because they made it such a personal and a smaller story. The comic book story kind of got a little too wild and crazy, but overall I really enjoyed this movie. And also the introduction of Baron Zemo. That character is really great, and I like what they did with him as well, making him this, in the comics he's more of this evil character, and he's more in a gray area here where you understand why he's doing what he's doing, because you see examples of it in the MCU, why super soldiers are a bad idea. But overall, I thought it was a fantastic movie, and that ending is just chef kiss. Coming at number 3 is another Captain America movie, Captain America the Winter Soldier. What a fantastic movie, and another important movie in the MCU, because it shows you that you can combine other genres with the comic book genre, and it doesn't have to be just a superhero story with the basic superhero formula. They added a spy thriller action movie in here, and it has my second favorite setup, the bridge scene with the Winter Soldier hopping on the car, taking off the wheel, throwing a guy into the traffic, and everything that happens after that with the reveal that it's Bucky. We all knew it was Bucky, but they still found a way to make the reveal interesting and emotionally impactful. The Russo brothers did a great job, and it's also introduced Falcon and also made Black Widow seem a lot more interesting and not just a sexy icon. So I love this movie to begin in it, and even the ending was just perfect. The hero lost. It's just amazing. My number 2 and 1, these movies are basically one long movie, but coming at number 2 is Infinity War. I love this movie so much from a visual standpoint, an action standpoint, and what it did to me at the end. Winning. For some reason throughout the whole movie, I was like, there's no way he's going to win. There's no way he can win, because the villains just don't win. They don't win in the MCU. That's what it always felt like. So I always felt like there was going to be a way for them to defeat him, and then maybe a second movie he comes back or something like that. But that ending and how everyone in the movie theater I was in got affected, even just especially with Peter Parker's death and how he acted, I think he did a fantastic job with that. I think I still have PTSD from that moment. It was just amazing. Doctor Strange showing off his full potential and how amazing that was. Iron Man and the whole Guardians fighting him, and then everything that was happening in Wakanda. It felt like a real war. It felt like a lot of time was ticking in this movie, and they did a great job with everything leading to the end. And obviously, if Infinity War is number 2, you know what number 1 is. And number 1 is the Avengers Endgame. And this movie is so good. It edges out Infinity War just by a little bit because of the sacrifices made by a lot of characters. Captain Marvel being in the movie. The Nebula twist I thought was very creative. Time travel, bringing in Ant-Man and all the different characters fully being in this movie. And getting so many comic book moments that we like Cap grabbing Thor's hammer and everything proceeding. That happens after that. Just amazing. Everything that happened. So many cool different things, so many Easter eggs, so much fan service, while still telling a great story that affects the MCU the most. And you see it now in these movies that are happening now. Everything that happened in Endgame affecting the rest of the MCU. I think it's a fantastic movie. It's not perfect. There's certain things I wish happened, like Hulk getting that one-on-one with Thanos and other characters kind of getting their just due, but there's almost so much they can do in, I think it was like 3 hours with so many characters. But overall, a fantastic movie. So let me know, guys, what do you think about my list? What is your list of the top 27 movies, or even your just top 10, top 5? What are you looking forward to in the coming months? We have 3 MCU movies coming out this year. Gonna make it a flat 30. Tell me which ones you're excited for, and like the video if you like my list. Subscribe to my channel and join the family, and hit the notification bell. I have a bunch of reviews, reactions coming soon. Thank you for watching my video, and be well.